Hello guys, my name is Bappy Hamed and welcome to this video. So guys, in this video we'll be implementing one amazing project called Personal Productivity and Assistant. So here we'll be implementing the entire end-to-end system. That means I'll show you from the project setup itself. Then we'll be also talking about the project architecture. Then we'll develop the entire application. Then after that I will also show you how we can deploy this application over the cloud platform. So first of all, let me tell you about this project, like what this project will do and how it will work. So first of all, I'll show you the project architecture. Then we'll try to create a GitHub repository. So guys, here we'll be implementing something called Personal Productivity Assistant. Okay. So here what will happen, let's say day by day, actually whatever activity you are doing, let's say you are doing any meetings, then you are scheduling any kinds of, let's say, plan. So whatever let's say you are doing, you can collect some data. Okay, you can get some data. Let's say you have some meeting data, you have your reminder, whatever daily task you usually do, you have some documents here. Okay, you have some custom documents. So what you can do, you can build a rag on top of that. Let's say you don't remember what is your, let's say, reminder today, or let's say what is your task for tomorrow. So what you can do, you can ask to your personal productivity assistant, and this assistant will try to suggest you, let's say tomorrow what are the schedule you have, what are the plan you have, everything it will try to give you the answer. Or let's say you have done one meetings, in the meeting so many discussion what happened, okay, but you don't remember all of them. What you can do, you can collect the meeting transcript and you can get the data, okay, and you can also integrate the rag with that. So what is the architecture? So first of all, let's say we have the custom documents. So first of all, what we'll do, we'll try to create a chunks. Okay, we'll try to create a chunks, because you know that LLM has some input limitation. So that's why we have to create the chunks. We can't pass the entire data to the large language models. Chunks will give you different small kinds of chunks, and these chunks will try to convert it to the vector embedding. So here we'll be using one embedding model. Embedding model. So in case you can use any embedding model, you can use OpenAI embedding model. You can also use some Hugging Face embedding model. No issue with that. So here I'll be using OpenAI embedding model. So after getting the embedding model, what we'll do, guys, we'll try to generate the vector embedding. Vector embedding. And this vector embedding, we have to store somewhere to perform the retrieval operation. So we'll be using vector database here. Vector database. And in case we'll be using ChromaDB. You can also use Fires, then you can also use Web8, Pinecone. No issue with that. And this is going to be my knowledge base. Okay, knowledge base. Fine, that means first of all we have the documents, then we'll be creating the chunks, and this particular chunks, what we'll do, we'll try to generate, we'll be using the embedding model, then we'll be creating the vector embedding, we'll store in the knowledge base. Okay, that means in the vector database. Now if anyone is asking any kinds of query, let's say this is the user, let's say user is asking one query, and this retriever will give you some retrieve output. Okay, retrieve output, that means some rank results, ranked results. Okay, so here you have one parameter called k. Let's say k is equal to 3. It will give you 3 relevant answer, but this answer is not readable. What we have to do, we have to use LLM, large language model, and we'll pass the response to the large language model. Also this query will pass to the large language model, and large language model will give you the actual response. Okay, by referring your knowledge base. That means the retrieve output. Okay, whatever you are giving. That means what we are doing, let's say this is your LLM. So here you are passing the context. Okay, also you are passing the query. So LLM will try to refer the context. Okay, let's say the context is about Python. Okay, and you have, let's say, asked one question. Let's say what is Python. First of all, it will refer the context, then it will give you the query. Okay, so just you can consider, let's say if I'm giving you 10 different cat books, and if I tell you what is cat, So first of all, you will be reading about the cat. You have enough amount of context right now regarding the cat. Then you will be able to give me the response. Okay, so this is what actually we are doing. So we are getting the knowledge base. This knowledge base we are passing as a context to the LLM, and whatever question user is asking, okay, it will try to return. Apart from the question, if you are also asking anything, let's say hi, how are you, and all, this will also give you the response with respect to that. So this is the entire system, guys, will try to develop. Now to implement the system, what are the technology we're going to use? First of all, let me write here. See, for the front end part, front end of our application, we'll be using Flask. So we'll be creating a web application with the help of Flask. Okay. For the backend, we'll be using Python and LangChain. For database wise, that's a vector database, we'll be using ChromaDB. Then LLM wise, we'll be using GPT. Okay, GPT-4 will be using. You can also use GPT 3.5 and all. And for this, we'll be using OpenAI. And for environment credential, we'll be using python.env. Python.env. Okay, with the help of that, we'll try to load the OpenAI secret, or let's say any other secret you're mentioning, we'll try to load it. And whenever we'll try to deploy the project, we also need to download the env file. For this, we'll be using gdown. Okay, so with the help of gdown, you can download anything from the Google Drive. That means we'll be keeping this .env file in the Google Drive, and from there we'll try to download, because you know that we can't directly upload any kinds of env file in the GitHub. Okay, GitHub will give you the issue. So for this, we'll be getting the env file from the Google Drive itself. Okay, this is the idea. I'll tell you, okay, whatever things I'm talking about, I'll tell you in practical. Definitely you will be able to understand. Okay, great. And to deploy this project, we'll be using CI/CD approach. Deployment, we'll be using CI/CD approach. So here we'll be using CI/CD. That is continuous integration, continuous delivery. So here what will happen, if you are uploading your code, to the GitHub, okay, GitHub will automatically trigger the CI/CD pipeline. Okay, CI pipeline, CI/CD pipeline, and this application will deploy over the AWS cloud. Okay, AWS cloud. This is the entire pipeline we'll be implementing. And for this, we'll be using some service, like we'll be using AWS, we'll be using ECR, Elastic Container Registry, we'll be using Docker. Okay, Docker for containerization. Okay, we'll be creating the Docker image. Then we'll be using IAM service for the this one, access management. And here we'll be using GitHub. Okay, to perform the code management, and we'll be using GitHub Action for the CI/CD tool. So these are the service, guys, we'll be using. Okay, one by one. And what will be the project folder structure? So folder structure wise, here we'll be creating a backend folder. Backend folder. Inside backend, we'll keep some backend file, like we'll be keeping the data ingestion, ingest data. So this will create the this one. It will load the documents. It will create the vector embedding, and it will save as a this one database file. So this particular file will try to create IngestData.py. Then we'll be creating another file called model.py. So this will load the model as well as the this vector store object, and it will return you the retriever. Okay. Then apart from that, we'll be also creating a file called static. So inside static, we'll keep the Flask related code. So it will have the style.css. So here we'll create a basics UI, user interface. So for this, we need CSS code, and we also need a app.js file. Okay, JavaScript file, because if you are using CSS and HTML, so you also need this JS file. And if you are not familiar with this kinds of HTML, CSS, no need to worry. Okay, you can get this kinds of code over the internet. There are so many template provider, you can already download from there. Okay, then we'll be creating another folder called template. So inside template, we'll try to keep a file called index index.html. Okay, so this index.html will contain the user interface structure, like how you are going to create the front end part. So that HTML code we'll try to write here. Then I think I can write it here. We'll create a env file. Inside that we'll keep the credential. Then we'll try to create our endpoint called app.py. Then we'll create a Docker file here, because we'll try to create the Docker image, containerize our application. That's why we need it. Then we need a requirement.txt, requirements.txt. Okay, txt file. And apart from that, for the deployment, we need .github folder. Okay, I'll show you whenever we'll try to do the deployment. That time I'll show you what are the folders and files you need. As of now, this is the folder structure we'll try to create, guys. Okay, and before that, let me create a GitHub repository. Then we'll try to create all the files one by one. And open up your GitHub account. Make sure you have the GitHub account. And here click on new repository. You can give the name. So here I'll give the name as personal productivity assistant. I'll keep it as public repo. Okay, and add readme file. Git ignore wise, I'll be taking Python. License wise, let's take the MIT license. I think everything is fine. Let's get the repo right now. Okay, so once it is done, let's click on the code, copy the link address, open up your local folder. So this is my local folder. So here I'm going to open up my terminal. Now let's clone the repo. So git clone. Let's paste the link. So it will clone the repo. Now I need to go inside that. So cd personal productivity assistant. Okay, now I'm inside this folder. Now here I'm going to open up my Visual Code Studio. You can also use PyCharm, Sublime Text. It's up to you. So the first thing, guys, what we have to do the environment setup and requirement installation. For this, let's write the command in the readme file. So I already prepared the command. What are the command you have to execute? Yeah, so let me just mention it here. So you can see, first of all, you have to clone my repository. Then after that, you have to create the environment. This is the command conda create -n agent tab Python is equal to 3.12 -y. So here we'll be using 3.12 Python version. Then after that, you have to activate the environment. Then you have to install the requirements. Okay. Now you can ask me what is the requirement file. I'll try to create the requirement file. No need to worry. Then once it is done, all the setup is done. Then you have to execute the endpoint, which is nothing but your app.py. But as of now, we haven't created the app.py. You can ignore this part. So these are the command, guys, you have to execute. So for me, I already created the environment. So I'm not going to execute this command. But for you, you have to execute the command. So let me activate my environment. So I'll open up my terminal. And if I just write conda activate agent tab, you can see agent has been activated. Now let's create all the folder structure one by one. So first of all, so here I'll create a file called template.py. So with the help of this template.py, we'll try to create the folder structure in automated way. So for this, I have written a Python script. Let me show you. So this is my Python script. So here I only need to modify. These are the folders and file. I think those who have seen my implementation, I follow the same template.py. I follow the same logic to create my folder structure. Okay. All right. So now let's do some modification in the file. So I don't need the project name. This thing I don't need. So instead of that, what we'll do, we'll try to update the folders and file in the list of the files. That means inside this particular list. Okay. So first of all, I need a backend folder. So here, what I will do, here I'll just write a backend folder. Backend folder. Okay. And inside backend, I'll create two files. One is the IngestData.py. So let me delete all the file. Params I don't need. Main I also don't need. And the if string is not required, I can also remove it. Yeah. Requirement I need. Setup.py I don't need. Research I also don't need. Templates I need. Okay. Yeah. And .github I need because we'll be doing the CI/CD deployment. For this, we need this particular file. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, I'll be creating a IngestData.py file in the backend folder, and I'm also going to create another file called model.py. Okay, then after that, we'll try to create a static folder here. So let me just write here, I'll name it as static. Okay, inside static, I'll create a app.js file. Then we'll create another file called style.css. Style.css. Okay. Then what we'll do, a template, I think I already created index.html, because if you're using Flask, I think you know that you have to create the templates file. Inside that you have to create the index.html. Okay, that is what we are doing. Then we'll be creating a .env file here. .env. Then apart from that, I need a Docker file. Then requirement.txt and template. Okay, yeah. So yes, these are the files and folder I need. If you need anything later on, I'll try to create. Now try to save, and this is the logic. So first of all, I'm looping through the list. Then I'm actually converting to the path, because here we are using Windows machine, and Windows use backward slash. And if you want to convert it to the backward slash, you have to use the path library. Okay, it will automatically detect your operating system. Based on that, it will convert that part. Then I'm separating out my folder file directory and file name. So you can see this is the file directory and this is the file name. And with the help of path.split, actually we are doing that. So folder directory will be stored in the file directory, and file name will store in the file name. Then after that, first of all, I'm creating the file directory. Okay, with the help of os.make directories. Okay, this is the code. Then after that, we are creating the files. You can see I'm opening the files and we are creating that empty file. And then if anything is exist, I'm logging the information. This file is already exist. Okay, and for this we are using login module. So now let's execute the file. So what I will do, I will execute my template.py. Now see, there is nothing right now. And if I execute this file, okay, this template.py, automatically the folder structure would be created. So template.py. Now guys, see, left hand side, automatically the folder structure has been created. Okay, so that's why I use this particular approach. Now let's say in future you want to create another file. Let's say you want to create test.py. Simply just try to add and execute it. See, automatically this would be created. Okay, you don't need to manually create it. Otherwise, what we have to do, we have to use this icon and we have to create it manually. First of all, this folder we have to create, then inside that we have to create, these are the files. Okay, so it's a like hard to create. Okay, it will take lots of time, so we are not going to follow that approach. Okay, so that's why we have followed the template.py approach. Now this is created. Now what I will do, I'll try to commit this code to my GitHub. So for this, let's clear my terminal. Now I'll just write git add. Now git commit. So you have to write a commit message, type a name. So I'll just write folder structure, add it, then git push origin main. Okay, because this is the main branch, you can check here. The repository we have created, it is under main branch. Now let's see. I'll try to commit the code. Sorry, push the code. Now see, push is done. Now if I come here and if I refresh, now see, all the folders and file has been committed to my GitHub. Okay, and I also updated a readme file. So anyone can come here and they can copy paste the command and they can execute my application. Okay, now the next thing, we'll try to set up the requirements. Okay, now how to set up the requirements? Let's open up the requirement.txt, and inside that I'll mention all of the requirements you need for this particular project. So the first requirement, you need the Flask, then you need the Flask codes, then you need langchain is equal to 0.1.20. Okay, this is the specific version we'll be using. Then we need OpenAI. Okay, OpenAI is equal to I need 0.28 0.0. Okay, this version we'll be using. Then I need ChromaDB. So ChromaDB is equal to, I'll be using 0.4.24. So now you can ask me why we are using this version, because I have implemented the project with this particular version. And I'm mentioning the specific version because after 1 month there is a possibility this package will get updated and we will face the dependency issue. That's why we're using the same version, the version I've used to implement the project. Okay, it's a good practice. Always try to mention the version, the package you're using, because GenAI is the frequent update industry. So every day they are doing new changes in the package. So the project you are running today, there is a possibility this project might not run tomorrow. So that's why it's super important. Then I need python.env. Then I need gdown for the Google Drive. Okay, if I want to download anything from the Google Drive, I need these are the package. Okay, now how to install? So this is the command I mentioned. Now let's open up your terminal. Let's clear it, and I'll install the requirement. So for me it is already satisfied because previously I already installed, but for you it will take some time. See, it's completed. Okay, now let's again commit. So if you want to commit, you can also commit from the VS Code. So you can give the message here. Let's say requirements added. Requirements added. Just a minute. Added. Then click on commit. And if you're doing for the first time, it will ask for the authentication with your GitHub. Just try to authenticate and try to commit. It's done. Okay, now if I get back to my GitHub, refresh, now see this is my second commit. Okay, requirements added. All right guys, so everything is ready. Now we can start the development right now. Okay, fine. So the first file will be writing the IngestData.py. Let me open this particular file and let me import some necessary libraries. So first of all, I'm going to import operating system. Then I'm going to import .env. Okay, import load.env. Then I'm going to import chroma from LangChain. So from LangChain, first of all, let me select my environment, agent demo, LangChain dot vector store, import chroma. Then I need OpenAI embedding. So from LangChain dot embeddings dot OpenAI, import OpenAI embeddings. Okay, then I need text loader. So from LangChain dot, it is under available inside document loaders. Okay, import text loader. Yeah, this thing I need. Then I need character text splitter because I want to perform the chunking. It is also available in the LangChain. So LangChain dot documents. Sorry, it is under doc store. Then documents. Okay, so there is a mistake. I think this is under text splitter. Text splitter, import character text splitter. Okay, then I also need to import the document. So from LangChain dot doc store dot documents. Okay, import documents. And I also need gdown package. So import gdown. Yeah, everything is done. Now the first thing, we have to write a code. That code will try to download .env file from the Google Drive itself. Okay, see, although I have created the env file, but I want to download it from the Google Drive. So let me show you my Google Drive. See, in the Google Drive, I kept my .env file. And if I open this, let me show you my .env file. See, your .env file will look like that. So it will have the OpenAI API key. Make sure you collected your OpenAI API key and mention it here, and ChromaDB path. So here I've given DB. That means it will create a DB folder name here. Okay, whenever it will create the ChromaDB instance, and ChromaDB is the local vector DB. I think you know that. So this file you can upload where you can upload in the Google Drive. Okay, you have to upload this file in the Google Drive. Okay, and now we'll be writing the code. That code will try to download this file from the Google Drive itself. Okay, and make sure after uploading it to Google Drive, you just give the permission to anyone with the link. So just try to click on share, and this particular permission you have to give anyone with the link. Okay, by default it would be restricted. Okay, just try to make it and click on done. Then after that you have to get the ID. So click on share, copy the link, and this link you can paste here and get the ID. This is the entire link and this is the ID, guys. Okay, So after D, this is the ID. Just try to copy the ID and keep it somewhere, because this ID you need to download that file. Okay. Now let me write the code. That code will try to download this file from the Google Drive itself. Okay. So for this, I already written a script. Let me show you. This is the script, guys, I have written. Download env file from the G drive. So first of all, you have to give the file ID. So that file ID I have given it here. Then this is the URL to download. So this is the URL, and this URL you have to add this file ID. Okay, this file will be downloaded from the Google Drive itself. And what is the output name? Output name I want to keep it .env. Okay, and with the help of gdown.download, I'm downloading this particular file from the URL, and with this particular name, and quite is equal to false, because it will not show anything in the console. Okay, that's why. Okay, now if you want to test, you can also test whether it's working or not. So what I can do, I can, let's say, remove this file, and I can execute this particular file right now. So Python backend, it is under inside backend IngestData.py. Now see, it will download the file from the Google Drive itself. See, it's done. Now see, this .env file is available, and again the same credential I have inside that. Okay, because I need it whenever you will be deploying this project over the cloud platform. That time you have to upload your code to the GitHub. Okay, now I can't upload this env file to the GitHub, because in the .git node you can see this .env is mentioned. .env is mentioned. You can't upload this one. See, okay, so that's why we have to download it from the Google Drive itself during the production server. That is the idea. Now we have to load the env file. Okay, then after that we have to set as a environment variable. Both will try to set the OpenAI API key as well as the ChromaDB path. Okay, both will try to set as an environment. We'll try to load from the environment. Okay, that means from this particular file, and we're storing in the variable itself. Okay, then here I'm going to check a condition. The condition is, if not OpenAI API key, it will raise a value error. OpenAI API key is not found. Okay, so this kinds of verification layer you can also add in your code. Okay, so we have added this condition. Now what we'll do, we'll try to load the documents. Now here, document wise, you can use any kinds of documents. As I already told you, let's say you have done one meeting, and you can also get the transcript of the meeting, and you can also load that let's say transcript with the help of LangChain. So if you go to the LangChain data loader, LangChain data loader, so like LangChain can load all kinds of data. Okay, whether it's a PDF, whether it's a CSV, anything you can load. See, you can load from the web, even you can also load the transcript data. Okay, you can check it is like a huge amount of functionality it has. You can check here. So as of now, just to make this project simple, I'm going to create my custom documents here. So this is the documents I created just to show you. But in case, you can use any kinds of documents. This part only you just need to change. Okay, here you can add that data loader part. Let's say you want to load the data from the Figma, or let's say Slack. So this is the code. This is the code you can add. You can give the workspace ID. Okay, and you can load the data. You can create the data loader. Now let's say you want to load the data from the Twitter. You can follow that. Let's say you want to load the data from the PDF. You can follow here. Okay, so all the codes are already there. So only you just need to replace it here. So here I'm creating my custom documents. I created 3 documents: meeting notes, discuss project X deliverables, okay, then reminder, then upcoming events. Okay, these are the, let's say, dummy things I've just added just to show you, okay, how things are working. But for you, you can load any kinds of file here. Any kinds of personal productivity data you have, you can load here. Got it? Then after that, what we have to do, guys, we have to initialize our embedding model, because we have to convert this data to the vector embedding. For this, we need an embedding model, and I'm going to use OpenAI embedding model. And here I'm passing the OpenAI API key. Then the second thing, you have to create the chunks, because see, we're following the same architecture. First of all, we have loaded the data. We will be creating the chunks, embedding model. Okay, these are the things we'll be doing. Now we have to create the chunks. Now how to create the chunks? We can use character text splitter. I think you know that. So this is the code for that. So here I'm using character text splitter. This is my chunk size 200 and chunks overlap 50. Okay. Now what will happen? Let's say you have one huge documents. Let me show you. Let's say you have our documents. Let's say this is your entire documents like that. and chunks size you have mentioned, let's say 200. So it will start from here, 200 token it will count. Let's say 200 word ends here. This is your first chunks. Okay, then it will start the another chunks, but here you have mentioned the chunks overlap. You can see, let me show you. We have mentioned the chunks overlap 50. That means what will happen, it will get back 50 words back. Okay, from here it will start the second chunks, and it will again count 200 tokens, and it will end here. That means this is the first chunks, this is the second chunks. Okay, that's how it will create multiple chunks. Got it? So now let me show you. And here you have to call split documents, and you have to pass the document you have here. So this will return you the chunk. Then after that, we have to store this data. Okay, we have to store this data. After creating the vector embedding, we have to store the data in the vector database. Okay, and we'll be using ChromaDB for that. Now let me show you the implementation. So this is the ChromaDB code. So here you can see I'm using Chroma from documents, and here I'm passing the docs. Okay, here I'm passing the docs. I'm giving the embedding model, and persist directory is equal to ChromaDB path. Okay, the path we have defined per DB database. And once it is created, I'm just launching a message, documents successfully indexed. Okay, now if you want to test whether it's working or not, you can execute the app. So I'll open up my terminal and let me clear. Now let's execute the same file again. So it will create a DB folder. You can see. The DB folder has created, and inside that it has saved all of the vector. See, successfully it is completed, and inside that you can see it is using ChromaDB, and it has stored all the vector. Okay, but you can't see that it is a like a binary object. You can't visualize that particular vector. Okay, but if you're using Pinecone, there is another vector database. Let me show you, called Pinecone. Pinecone is a paid one. If you want, you can also use it. They have the free plan. Maybe in future I will also show you with the help of Pinecone how to use this. So in the Pinecone you can visualize your vector. Okay, this is the beauty I usually like of the Pinecone. It will store the vector in the cloud platform, not in the local machine. Okay, but let's say you don't want to share your data. That time you can use ChromaDB because it will be available in the local machine. But if you want to share your data, you can store in the cloud. But these are safe website. Okay, it's not like that they will steal your data. It's not like that. Okay, now everything is working fine so far. Now we'll write the model.py file right now. Now what we'll do? Okay, so now let's write this model.py. So in the model.py, what we'll do, we'll try to initialize the model LLM. That means this particular LLM will try to initialize, and the knowledge base we have created, this vector DB object, will try to load as a retriever object. Okay, because whatever user will ask the question, it will go to the retriever. Retriever will try to return the response to the LLM as well as the questions, and LLM will try to give you the response. Okay, this particular functionality will try to write in the model.py. So for this, again, we have to import some necessary library. So let me import all of the library one by one. So these are the necessary library guys I need. You can see I'm importing Chroma, then OpenAI embedding, Chat OpenAI. So we're using the OpenAI model. That's why we are importing Chat OpenAI. Then retrieval QA, load QHN, and GDown. Again, we have to add this code because what will happen if you are writing this code in the app.py, we'll be importing that functionality in the app.py, and sometimes there is a possibility this will execute. Okay, and if you don't have the .env file, it will throw you error. So in the both places we'll try to add this particular code, because whatever file you are executing, first of all it will try to download the env file, and it will use your API key, because here also I'm going to mention the same code, this particular code. Okay, this particular code, and to get this particular code you need the .env file. That's why we are first of all downloading it. Okay, now we'll try to load all the object one by one. First of all, we are loading the embedding model, then we're loading the vector DB. So ChromaDB, and this particular directory we are giving, the DB directory we are giving, it will load that particular database object, because inside that I have all of my vector. Then embedding function is equal to embedding. Then this is my retriever, vector DB as retriever. Okay, this retriever we are creating. Now we'll try to initialize the LLM. So here we'll be using GPT-4 model. Okay, you can see. Now we'll try to create the QHN. Okay, QHN, it will take the LLM as well as the chain type is equal to star. Then I'm going to create a function called get response. So in the get response, I'll call the retriever, and this will give you the retrieve output, whatever question user is asking, and this particular output will pass to the QA object, that means to the LLM. LLM will try to return you the actual response. Okay, so this is the code. Now we'll try to add this both functionality to the endpoint. Okay, that means in my app.py. Now let's open the app.py. But before that, we have to complete the static as well as the template. Okay, because to launch the this one Flask app, you need this HTML code as well as the CSS. Okay, these are the things you have to mention. So first of all, let's write the HTML code, and this code I have written with the help of this ChatGPT. With the help of ChatGPT, I have generated this HTML code. It's just a basics. You can say a template. Okay, basics user template. You can also create any kinds of template with the help of ChatGPT. Even it is also available over the internet. You can also download. Then I need the style. So this is just a basics color and style I have added in the CSS file. And to operate this, I need a JS file. Again, you don't need to worry about the front end part. There would be separate team for the front end. This is the basics app I have just created. Okay, great. Now let me. Now if you have to change the header title, you can also change it here. Okay, now let's create the app.py. Now in the app.py, we'll first of all import some necessary library. So here I'm importing operating system.env, then I'm importing the Flask, then Flask cards, and okay, so here we have imported. Now see here from the backend, you can see I have a file called model.py, and here I created a function called get response. So this get response I'm importing it here because user will give the query, and this query I have to pass where? I have to pass to the get response, and this query will go to the retriever. Retriever will return the retriever output, and this thing will try to send to the QHN, and QHN will try to take care with the help of LLM. So yes, now we'll try to load the env as well. So let's load the env. Then one thing I want to do, because see, whenever user will initialize the app, this DB object would be created. And how this DB object will be created? Whenever user is executing this IngestData.py. But here I'm not going to execute it manually. It should be automated. For this, we'll be executing this command. Wes.system python backend slash app. Sorry, it should not be app.py. It should be IngestData.py. IngestData.py. Sorry. Okay. So this file should be executed. So once this file is executed, that means this DB object would be created and you will have the knowledge base. Okay. Then we'll try to initialize the Flask. So this is my Flask. Then we'll create a default route. So whenever you'll execute the app, you will get a default route, and this default route will execute index.html page. Now here I'm going to create another route called query. So whenever you will send the query, so this query route will execute. Okay. And it will get the data from the user. That means whatever question user will write in the input box, it will get the data, and we'll try to send the data where to the get response function. Okay, you can see first of all I'm checking if not query, it will raise the exception. Otherwise, it will send the data to the get response function, and this will give you the response. This response I will show to the UI console. Okay, now let's initialize the app. So I'm running the app localhost port number 800, debug is equal to true. Now let me show you the app, how it will look like. First of all, let's delete the DB object. We'll try to create as a new. Now what we'll do, we'll try to open up the terminal. Now let's execute the app, python app.py. Now see, first of all, it will download that .env file, then it will create the DB object automatically. Now see, application is running. Now if I go back and search for localhost port number 800, so guys, you can see this is the user interface we are getting, but the issue is like, if I go to the code, it should be styles.css. Okay, not style, styles.css. Now let me save. Now if I refresh, now see, this is your app. Now here you can give any kinds of question. Let's say if I give hi and submit. Now see, it's thinking, and hello, how I can assist you today. Now you can ask the query. Let's say if I show you my data, so this is my data all about. So here I will ask, what is the reminder? Now see, it is telling the reminder is to submit the report by Friday. Now if I show you the data, now the same thing I have written in the data. Okay, now you can ask anything regarding your personal productivity, whatever data you are using. So this is going to be an amazing app, guys, because I know that there are so many people, they need this kinds of assistant. Now you can use any kinds of meeting transcript and you can implement the entire system. Okay, you can replace the data here. So this is the app, guys. Now it is running on my local host, and you can see it has created all the DB object and everything. It is working fine. Now I'll show you how we can deploy these kinds of app over the cloud platform. That means we'll be deploying over the AWS cloud with the help of CI/CD pipeline. So I already recorded one deployment video of my previous project. So there I created a medical chatbot with the same structure, okay, same let's say technology. I was also using the Flask there. So the deployment strategy I showed you there, the same thing you have to also follow. Only the thing you have to do, you have to upload your project in your GitHub account. Okay, that's it. And you have to follow the same technique as it is. Okay, so instead of recording the deployment video again, I'll add that particular deployment video here. You can follow the same technique and you can deploy this particular project as a CI/CD. Now, first of all, let's commit the code in my GitHub. So I'll click here. Now what I can do, I can ignore this DB object because DB object I don't need. So here I'll, in the git ignore, I'll mention I don't want to push the DB. So DB / start. That means just try to ignore everything inside DB. Now see, DB object is not there. Now let's try to commit. So I'll just write updated. Now commit and save the changes. Now see, pushing is done. Now if I get back and if I refresh my GitHub, now see, everything is up to date. Okay. Now, okay, one thing I forget to tell you, this Dockerfile. So in the Dockerfile, you can mention this particular code. Okay. So this let's say command will help you to create a Docker image. So first of all, it will create a it will take a Python 3.12 image. It will install some required tools in the Docker server. Then it will create a working directory called /app. Inside that, it will copy all of the source code. Then it will install requirements. Then it will launch the app.py. Okay, so this is the Docker command you have to use, guys. Now we'll also see like this .github folder. Inside that, you have to create a file called cicd.yaml, and inside that you have to mention some of the command. So in the deployment video, I have mentioned each and everything. I have clarified each and everything. Just try to follow and try to deploy this particular project. Now we'll try to see the deployment part, like how we can deploy these kinds of projects on the cloud platform. If you want to learn any other cloud deployment, it is also fine. See, the process will remain same, only the cloud functionality would be different. So I'll try to create some more video on the deployment. Like I'll also show you how we can deploy these kinds of project on the GCP cloud, on the, let's say, the Azure cloud. But first of all, let's try to see how we can deploy this project on the AWS cloud. And see, this is not going to be a simple deployment. So here we'll be doing continuous integration and continuous delivery or deployment. That means CI/CD. So I think you have heard of this particular term called CI/CD, right? So we'll be learning how we can deploy this project as a CI/CD. I think you already know how to deploy any machine learning project, deep learning project as CI/CD, but we haven't seen how we can deploy any kinds of generative AI based project as a CI/CD, right? So that's why make sure you are watching this video till the end. So here I'm going to show you each and every step you have to follow. And trust me, if you follow this step, guys, you can use this step to deploy any kinds of, let's say, generative AI based project. Okay, and this is going to be production grade deployment. Okay, so here I'm going to use different kinds of service from the AWS. Even I'll be also using Docker. That means first of all, we'll be Dockerizing the entire source code. Then we'll be deploying this application on the cloud platform. Okay, so make sure you are watching this video till the end. So before starting the deployment, guys, first of all, let me show you what exactly we're gonna perform here. What is CI/CD exactly? Then I will also discuss, let's say, what are the tools and technology we'll be using here, what are the services we'll be using here. Then I will start with the deployment, and make sure you have the AWS account. If you don't have the AWS account, guys, so you won't be able to deploy this project. So first of all, try to create one account. If you're creating for the first time, you will get $300 free credit. Okay, and this is enough for you. So try to create an account, guys. Then you can start with the deployment with me. So let's open up our Blackboard and try to see the architecture overview. So guys, as I already told you, here we'll be doing something called CI/CD deployment, right? And I already told you what is CI/CD full form. It's continuous integration, continuous delivery, or deployment, right? So inside continuous integration, continuous delivery, what happens? Let's say you are the developer. Okay, let's say you are the developer. So what is your task? Your task is to develop a project in the development, let's say, environment. So development environment means like your local system. Let's say you are using your laptop or computer. That's a local computer. Okay, local computer.
Fine. Then what we are doing, I think you remember, we are committing this code to the GitHub, right? We are doing the code management. I think you remember. That means whenever I was adding some new feature, I was pushing this code to the GitHub. Yes or no? Okay, with the help of Git client, we are pushing the code in the GitHub server. Now what happens actually, let's say after deployment. So this is called actually development server, or I can write this is actually development environment. Okay, development environment. So after implementing this project, what we have to do, we have to deploy this project, yes or no? Let's say somehow you have deployed this project on the AWS cloud. Let's say this is your AWS cloud. Fine. So let's say you have deployed this project to the AWS cloud manually. You just created a, let's say, instance there. You just took a machine there, a EC2 machine, and you manually deployed this project. Now it will give you some endpoint. Okay, endpoint. So with the help of this endpoint, any of the user can access your application. Now let's say after 4 months or let's say 6 months, you want to add some more features in this, let's say, application. Let's say you are deploying medical chatbot. The medical chatbot we implemented, I think you remember, right? Let's say you want to add some more data, you want to add some more knowledge base, and you want to add some more features in this application. Then what you have to do, you have to again develop this, let's say, features in your code. Then what you will be doing, again, you will be deploying this application to the AWS cloud. Now just try to see, whenever you are deploying the project for the second time, let's say this is the first time you have deployed, then you are trying to deploy for the second time, then what you have to do, first of all, you have to stop this application in the AWS. Okay, stop this application, then you will be uploading your updated code. Then this code will reflect to the endpoint, then user will be able to access that. Now let's say in between, whenever you stop this AWS server, let's say your application, let's say it took 3 hours. It took 3 hours to change the entire source code. That means change the entire features, okay, of your application. So what will happen? 3 hours user won't be able to access your application. So they will come your website and they will see server error. Okay, server error actually they will get. So if user is getting this kinds of experience, so definitely it would be a negative, let's say, effect, okay, on your application. So next time actually they are not going to use your application, yes or no? Let's say if ChatGPT is down for the let's say 3 hours, definitely people will move to the Google Bard or any other, let's say, software, whatever actually we are having. Okay, so now see, ChatGPT is also updating their, let's say, application day by day. But did you ever observe this server is down? No, you are not seeing this server is down, but still they're able to make the changes in their application. How? Because they are following something called CI/CD approach, continuous integration, continuous delivery. That means this application is keep on running, but in the backend they're pushing their source code, they're pushing their, let's say, new features, and this feature is automatically getting updated. Okay, so this is called actually CI/CD. That means you are not going to deploy this application manually. Instead of that, what you have to do, you have to follow the CI/CD. That means what will happen? Let's say you have changed something in your code, you will push the code to the GitHub. Okay, GitHub will automatically let's say deploy your code to the AWS cloud. It will automatically push your code to the AWS cloud, and your endpoint would be automatically updated. Okay, automatically updated, so that if user is using your application, okay, they won't be feeling any kinds of, let's say, server down issue. Okay, server down issue actually they won't be feeling. Got it? So this is what actually we have to do. That means we'll be creating the entire pipeline, entire, let's say, CI/CD pipeline. So we'll be just pushing the code in our GitHub, and GitHub will automatically trigger this action, and my code will update it to the AWS cloud, and AWS will update the endpoint. Okay, now see, the automated process we'll be doing. Now whenever we'll let's say push our code to the GitHub, GitHub will automatically trigger. How it will trigger? For this you have to use some CI/CD tool. Okay, CI/CD tool, CI/CD automation tool. So here there are different kinds of CI/CD tool. So the first tool you can use something called GitHub Action. Okay, GitHub Action you can use. Then you can use something called Jenkins. Okay, Jenkins. Then you can use something called Circle CI. Circle CI. So these actually 3 famous tools actually we are having in the market right now. So people are using more this GitHub Action, because GitHub Action you don't need to set up anything. It is already set up everything in the GitHub. But if you're using Jenkins and Circle CI, you have to set up this server manually. Okay, so here we'll be using GitHub Action because it is already inbuilt with the GitHub. We don't need to set up anything. Going forward, I will also show you how we can let's say use Jenkins, Circle CI. These are the services as well. Fine. So yes guys, this is the complete high level architecture of our deployment. Now let's discuss what are the services actually we'll be using for the deployment. See, here the first services actually I'm going to use. called Docker. So I think you already know Docker. So Docker is a containerization service. So with the help of that, you can containerize your code. That means, let's say you are having a source code, you can perform the containerization. That means it will create a Docker image for you. Okay. So this image you can, let's say, keep anywhere. Let's say you can keep in the Docker Hub. You can keep, let's say, in the ECR, that means Elastic Container Registry. From there, you can pull the image and you can execute this image. Okay. So if you are using Docker, so you won't be getting any kinds of setup issue. This is the main advantage here. Then we'll be using something called ECR here. ECR means Elastic Container Registry. So this is the service from the AWS. Okay, AWS giving this service. So here you can store any kinds of Docker image. It is the same like your Docker Hub. Okay, but it is the service from the AWS. You can store the private image there, but in Docker Hub actually all the image would be public. This is the difference only. Now we'll be using another service called EC2. Okay, EC2 is a virtual machine service from the AWS. Again, it is from the AWS. Okay, so this will give you virtual machine. There you can buy, let's say, CPU based machine, GPU based machine. Okay, so all kinds of configuration would be there. So here we are using our local computer. So there we'll be getting a cloud computer. Okay, this is the difference only. Then as a CI/CD tool, I'll be using something called GitHub Action, as I already told you. Okay, we'll be using GitHub Action for the CI/CD management. Fine. So yes, guys, these are the services as of now I'm going to use. So let me show you the deployment step we'll be following. For this, what I have done, guys, I think you remember we implemented one medical chatbot. This is the code, and this code would be also available in your resources section. Even you will also get this code in my GitHub. So guys, this is my GitHub profile. Just search ENT in the Google, you will see my GitHub, and here I have created one repository called end-to-end medical chatbot. So I'm going to commit this code here, so you will get all the source code from this repository itself. Okay, and even I will also add the deployment step in the README file. So that is what actually I have written. You can see the entire deployment step I have written here. Now this is the CI/CD deployment we'll be following. So first of all, what I have to do, we have to let's say create a IAM user. Then we'll be creating the EC2 machine ECR. Okay, then we'll be, see, this is the deployment step as of now. Just try to follow the step I'm going to show you. First of all, we'll be building our so here, first of all, we'll be building the Docker image of our source code. That means Docker image we'll be implementing. Then we'll be pushing this Docker image to the ECR. That means Elastic Container Registry, to store my Docker image. Then we'll be pulling this image from ECR in the EC2. That means we'll be pulling that image in the EC2 machine in our virtual computer. Then we'll be launching this Docker image in my EC2 machine, and from there we'll be creating an endpoint, and that endpoint user will be able to access. Okay, and these are the policy I have to give whenever I will be creating the IAM user. Fine. So this is the entire step, guys, I have written. Even I've also given all the command you need to execute here. Now let's start the deployment, guys. But before that, you just need to prepare some of the files. The first file you have to prepare the Docker file. So this file will help you to containerize entire your application. That means it will perform the Dockerization. And these are the Docker command you have to write. So I think you remember we are using Python 3.10. Okay, this Python version. That's why I have taken Python 3.10 slim busted image. Then working directory, it will create a working directory called app. Inside that, it will copy all the source code. Then it will install the requirements. Okay, whatever requirements actually we are having here. Got it? Then it will execute this Python 3 app.py command. So that means my endpoint would be executed. Okay, my application would be running. And make sure before actually deployment, you just store your index. Okay, in the Pinecone. So this is the Pinecone, guys. It is running, and all the vector is already stored here. You can see 7020 actually record is already stored here. So I already executed this file. I think you remember store index. So it will create all the, let's say, vector embedding, and it will store in the Pinecone. Okay, Pinecone vector database. So in this project, I was using Pinecone. I think you remember. Okay, so this should be available here. Got it? So once it is available, now what I have to do, guys, then you can create another file called Docker ignore. Inside Docker ignore, you can mention like some of the file which is not required. Let's say here this file is not required. Let's say I think this file is not required. Generative AI project.egginfo. Okay, so whenever it will perform the, let's say, containerization, that means Dockerization. So I don't need this folder. That time what you can do, you can mention this folder name in the Docker ignore file. It is the same thing as your git ignore. So it is already mentioned inside my git ignore. That's why I haven't mentioned inside my Docker ignore. Docker ignore is completely empty. As of now, I need all the file. That's why I haven't keep anything here. Now let's say if you want to ignore any kinds of file which is not required, that time you can store these other file inside Docker ignore. Okay, that's the thing. Now the next things you have to create. You have to create one folder called .github. Okay, inside that you have to create one folder called workflows. Inside that you have to create one YAML file. You can give any name. Here I have given CICD.yaml. Okay, now see, this is the complete YAML file. So this YAML file will help me to do the CI/CD deployment. Okay, that means here it will be using something called GitHub action. Okay, and GitHub action need this YAML file. So here all the command is already written. So first of all, you will see that it will perform continuous integration. Inside continuous integration, it will authenticate with my AWS account. Okay, then it will log in with my ECR. Then whatever, let's say, Docker image actually will be building, you will push that image to the ECR. Okay, that means Elastic Container Registry. Then your continuous deployment will start. Again, it will authenticate with AWS account. Then it will pull that, let's say, image from your ECR to EC2 machine. Then it will execute it here. And here all the environment variable I have set. You can see -e means this is the environment variable. See, AWS access key, AWS secret key. I'll tell you how to generate. These are the key. Then Pinecone API key, OpenAI API key, everything I have set here. Okay, so these are the thing we'll be reading from the secret. Okay, GitHub secret. I'll tell you how to create the GitHub secret as well. So as of now, just try to remember this is the YAML file you have to use for the CI/CD, and this YAML file you can use as it is. No need to change anything in your other project as well. Okay, that's the thing. Now let's open up our AWS account. So guys, this is my AWS account. I already logged in with my AWS account. So here, so first of all, what you have to do, you have to create a IAM user. So let's create a IAM user. So IAM. So the first thing we'll be creating one user here. So let's create one user. I'll create a user. So let's say username is, I'll give medical bot. You can give any name, it's up to you. So let's click on next. Now you have to give policies. Okay, like what are the policy you want to give in this user? I don't want to give my entire policy. That means all the services I don't want to give the access. So I'll be giving some specific access. So access wise, I already written in the readme file. Let me show you. So these are the access I'll be providing. My EC2 container registry full access and EC2 full access. Okay, these are the thing we'll be giving. So here just search it. So this is the ECR. Okay, ECR Elastic Container Registry full service here I'm giving. So let's select. And after that, again, I can delete it. Then I'll try to copy the next service. This is the service. Okay, this is the EC2 machine service. So again, search here and select the EC2 machine and click on the next. Now you'll see that I have given this two service. Okay. Next thing, just create the user. So right hand side, you can see one button is there, create user. Just click on create user. So guys, as you can see, my user has created. Now I'll click on the user. Then here I will get one option, security credential. Just click here. Then you have to create a access key. So click on create access key, select command line interface. And I understand this above recommendation and click on the next. So there is a next button. Just click on the next. Now create the access key here. Now see guys, this is your access key and secret access key. Try to download as a CSV file. So let's download. So and just keep it with you. Okay, this thing I need later on. Okay, and no need to share this key with anyone. Otherwise they will also access your AWS account. Okay, so here I'm showing because after the recording I'll delete everything. Got it? So my IAM creation is done. Now I'll go back to the home page. Now the next thing what I have to do guys, I have to create a ECR repository to store my Docker image. So let's search for ECR. So just search for ECR. That means Elastic Container Registry. Just open it up and make sure you check your region, in which region you are working. See, I'm working in Mumbai, AP South 1. If you're in other region, just try to note it down. Okay, you have to note it down this syntax actually, AP South 1, then CS Central 1. If you're, let's say, in North Virginia, you have to give US East 1. So just try to remember these are the tag. Okay, so I'm inside Mumbai, that means AP South 1. Now I'll be creating a Elastic Container Registry. So let's create. So let's click there. Now you have to give the name. Let's say I'll give medical chatbot. You can give any name. It's up to you. Everything keep it as default. Now click on next. Now see my repo is created. Now what you have to do, just copy the URI and just try to paste it as of now here because this thing I need later on. Just for reference, I'm saving it here. Okay. That's it. Now what I will do, I will go back again. Now the next thing I have to do, I have to create my EC2 machine. Then I have to set up, these are the requirements. Okay, that means I have to set up the Docker there. Then I will be also updating that machine. So let's create my EC2 machine right now. So search for EC2 here, EC2 instance. So this is the EC2 service. Now launch the instance. Now select the Ubuntu machine. And what you have to do, give the name of the machine. Let's say medical bot machine. You can give anything. Then see, instance type, you have to take at least 8 GB RAM. 8 GB RAM, just take 8 GB RAM. I'll be taking T2 large. Okay, this machine. And then select the key value pair. If you don't have the key value pair, you can also create it. So let's say I'll give medical. So it will create one RSA file. So guys, you can see after creating and download, it will give you one PEM file. So this PEM file you can use. Let's say if you're using any third-party tool to connect with your EC2 machine, let's say Putty or Mobile Extreme, that time you can use this PEM file. But I'm going to launch my, let's say, machine in my second tab with the help of AWS only. I don't need this PM file. Okay. So now I'll select these two options, HTTPS and HTTP. Keep it everything as default. Configuration storage at least take, let's say, 30 GB, and launch the instance right now. So here you can see, click on view all instance. Then see, my machine is running. So if status is running, now click on the machine ID. Now here you have to connect this machine. So click on the connect button. Now I'll be selecting the EC2 connector and let's connect the machine. So it will create a new tab for me. So here I will get one terminal, black terminal. So we have to use this terminal to set up everything here. And this is the production server, guys. Okay, that's how your production server looks like. See, this is the production server. Let me zoom. Now let me clear. See, here you won't be getting any kinds of UI interface. Okay, that means the way we are using our computer, it is having UI. But in the production server, you won't be getting any kinds of UI. You have to work with the terminal always. And this is the Linux terminal I got. This is the Linux machine, guys. So that's why if you know any kinds of Linux command, it will help you a lot. Got it? So here, first of all, I have to update this machine. For this, you have to execute this at the command one by one. So let's copy all the command one by one. Okay, so this is done. Now I'll copy the next command and just try to paste here. Now give yes permission and press enter. Okay, so execution is completed. Now I have to set up the Docker in the EC2 machine. So this is the command you have to run. Copy the next one and execute. Then I will execute this one, then the last command. So we have to add the Docker in the sudo group. Okay. Now, if it is running or not, so what you can do, you can execute one command, docker ---- version. So if it is showing the version, that means Docker is installed successfully. Now, we have to set up our self-hosted runner. EC2 as our self-hosted runner. That means we have to connect our GitHub. Okay, you can see this is the GitHub. Now, this is our project GitHub. So this GitHub I have to connect with my AWS. That means whenever user will, whenever let's say developer will push the code in the GitHub, it will automatically get updated to the AWS. Okay, AWS cloud. So for this, what I have to do, I have to go to my project. Make sure you you committed your repository in your GitHub and go to the settings. Okay, go to the settings. Now here, left hand side, you will see one option called action. Just click on the action, click on the runners. Now create a new self-hosted runner. Now select the Linux machine and you have to execute. These are the commands. So let's copy this command one by one and let me execute here. So it will automatically make the connection with your GitHub. Let me show you. Then the third command. Then fourth command. Now you have to go to the configuration section and copy this command and execute it here. Now see GitHub action, it will automatically connect. Now it will see it has connected to the GitHub. Now it is asking for enter the name of the runner group. I don't want to give anything, press enter. Now it is asking enter the name of the runner. So here you have to give self-hosted. Okay, self-hosted. This is the thing you have to give. If you're giving another thing, it won't be working. Okay, make sure you're giving self-hosted. Now let's press enter. Now keep it everything in default, just press enter again. Then again press enter. Now see, it is done. Now the last command we have to execute, this one. And you can ignore this one, it is not required. Now see, it would be connected with my GitHub. See, connected to the GitHub, listening for the jobs. Okay. Now if I show you, if I come back and now if I go to the runners, let's say, I'll go to the runners. Now see, status should be idle. You can see it is connected. Okay. Now the next thing what I have to do, I have to set up all the GitHub secrets. Okay. Now let's go back to the secret. So secret variable, click on the action. Now new repository secret. Now give the secret ID. Okay. So for the first ID I have to give AWS access key ID. Just copy and give the key name here. And why we will get the value, I think remember we downloaded one CSV file. So let me open this CSV file. I will open in a Notepad++, and this is my AWS access key ID. I'll copy, and here let me paste it. Then the next one I have to give secret access key ID copy and create another new repository secret and give it here. And in the CSV file, you will get the next one. See, it is comma separated. So before the comma, this is the AWS key ID, access key ID, and after the comma, this is the secret access key ID. So let me copy the secret access key ID and I will paste it here. Okay, now the next thing you have to give AWS default region. So region, I already told you I'm inside Mumbai. That means AP South 1. So I think remember, I'm inside AP South 1. See, AP South 1, you have to write it. So let's write AP hyphen South. Okay, hyphen 1, AP South 1. Let's try to check AP South 1. AP South 1. Okay, fine. Now let me add it. Now the next thing, I have to add my ECR repo. So ECR repo wise, I think you remember we copied one URL. So just try to get this name only. Okay, after .com, just try to get the name and try to mention here. Then the next thing, I have to set my Pinecone API key. So let's copy and add it here. And I think you remember in my .env file, I had my Pinecone API key. Let's copy. And this is not available inside my GitHub. That's why I'm reading from the GitHub secret. Okay, this is the idea. Now I also need to add my OpenAI secret. Okay, that means OpenAI API key. The last one, you can see OpenAI API key. Let's add it. So let's copy the OpenAI API. Here I'm going to paste it. Now let's add the secret. Okay, now see, everything is added. Now let me see anything is left. No, everything I have added. Now what I have to do, I have to push the changes. Okay, but before that, let me get back to my project. Now I'll push the changes. So just try to commit. To commit, just open up your git bash and try to write this command, git add space dot, then git commit hyphen m, let's say ci cd edit, then git push origin main. Now if I go back to my GitHub, now see, if I refresh here, so it will start running my action. Now just go to the action. Now see, my action is running. See, first of all, it is running the continuous integration. So inside continuous integration, first of all, it will authenticate with my AWS ECR, build the Docker image, push it to the ECR. Okay, everything will happen. See, automatically. It's just a one-time setup, guys. Next time, you don't need to set up it. You just need to write the code and push it to the GitHub. Automatically, it will push to the, let's say, AWS server. Okay, now see. So let's wait. Once this execution is completed, I will come back. So guys, as you can see, my continuous integration is completed. Now it is running the continuous deployment. Now what it will do, it will again authenticate with my AWS cloud and it will pull that image from the ECR to EC2 machine. And if you go to the Elastic Container Registry right now, and if you refresh here, you will see the image. Okay, see, Docker image is been uploaded here. Now see, it is running the deployment. Now see, it is pulling the image. So once it is pulled, then we'll doing the port mapping. We'll create the endpoint and we can access our application. Let me show you. So guys, as you can see, my execution is completed. That means both integration and deployment is executed. If you're not getting error, that means congratulations, it's done. Now I will go back to my EC2 machine. Okay. Now here in the EC2 machine, you will get one public IP address. Just let me show you. So this is the public IP address. Just try to copy and just try to open it. Okay. Now see, if I open it up, so it won't be opening because see, my application is running on port number 8080. I think you remember. Okay, so by default port number 8080 is not set. So I have to do the port mapping. So what I have to do, I'll go back, go to the instance. This is my instance. Then I'll go to the security. Okay. Now here you will see one option called security group. Just click here. Now on top you will see edit inbound rules. Okay, just try to click here. Now I'll just add the rules. Custom TCP port number, just give 8080. Just select 000. Okay. And here you will see save rules. Okay, just click on the save rules. That's it. Okay, so rules has been added. Now I'll go to the instance again. I'll open it up. Now I'll copy the public IP address again. And here, let me paste. Now you have to give clone port number 8080. Now see, if I hit enter, my application should be running. See guys, this is my chatbot is running. Now if I give any message, let's say what is acne. See guys, it is giving me the response. Now see, my application is live right now. So it is already deployed. Now user can use my applications. Now what you can do, you can buy a domain, okay, your custom domain, and you can publish this application to the audience. Okay. Now for the second time, let's say you changed anything in the code. Let's say you added some more function. What you have to do? Only just need to commit the changes. It will automatically get updated here. Fine. So no need to set up anything from scratch. It's just a one-time setup. Once setup is completed, just try to commit the changes. It will automatically running. Okay. Now you can ask me, if I close this terminal, will it work? Yes, definitely we can close it. Let's say I will close this terminal. Now if I again go to the chatbot, if I refresh, see, still my bot is running. Okay. So that's how guys we can do the CI/CD deployment. Now let me show you how we can terminate all the instance, like whatever instance we created, if you don't want to keep it running, otherwise it will charge you, right? So what I can do, first of all, I will stop the EC2 machine I've created. So select the machine, click on the instance state and terminate. So terminate will delete it. Okay. So it will terminate and delete the instance. Then after that, I also need to delete my ECR. So let's go to the ECR. So first of all, delete the image inside that. Just write the delete command. Now try to select and delete. Okay, then what I have to do, I have to delete the then I will also delete my IAM user. Okay, the IAM user I created. User. Let's select and try to delete it. Medical chatbot I have to write here. So let me copy. And let me delete it. See, everything is deleted. Now nothing will charge you. Okay. So guys, that's how we can perform the deployment. And this is the code you can use. This code as it is. Okay. The code actually have shared. So yes, guys, this is all about, and I hope you liked it. So thanks for watching, guys. And what you need to do, guys, the next project I showed you now that this one, source code analysis, you can deploy this project with the same process. Okay. Whatever project we have created so far, you can deploy with the same process. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.